Welcome to Discovering Lake County. I am your host, David Woll, and this is the show where we uncover the stories, businesses, and people that make Lake County an incredible place that we all know and love. With over 30 unique communities, hundreds of businesses, and countless local gems, there's no shortage for inspiring people and places for me to highlight. From the bustling downtowns to the quiet neighborhoods, from local entrepreneurs to dedicated community leaders, we have so much to cover, and I'm here to take you along for the ride. Every episode will be packed with engaging conversations, a touch of humor, and plenty of passion for this amazing county we call home. Sit back, relax, and join me as we discover the stories that make Lake County shine. This is Discovering Lake County. 1 minute, your world is normal. The next, it's gone. A flood, a fire, a crime scene. Your home shattered. Your business shut down. Your life on pause. But in the darkest hour, when chaos knocks at your door, that's when Serve Pro of Northwest Lake County shows up. Not just a company, not just a cleanup crew, but neighbors, parents, coaches, locals who care. Drake and his team aren't just restoring properties. They're restoring peace, restoring dignity, restoring lives. So when your worst day arrives, call the oh no guy who becomes your thank God guy. Serve Pro of Northwest Lake County. Locally owned, nationally known, unshakably trusted. From devastation to restoration. Serve Pro, Northwest Lake County. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Discovering Lake County. I am recording today from Agora Co-working, which is in Grays Lake on the corner of Atkinson and Center Street. Agora is a co-working place, so if you're looking for a place to get your business out of the house for a day, for a week, or even a lifetime home, Agora is awesome, so come say hi to Luke over here. Okay, so today I had to bring him in from Texas. So I have Mr. Art Lake with me. Art, how are you, buddy?
I'm fine, Dave. Thank you.
Okay, this is so fun. Okay, you are one of the reasons that I love that I decided to do Discovering Lake County because you have some really rich stories from around here.
That's horrible.
And some stuff we've already talked about, the things that we can't put on the air. So, but the majority of the people around here, which I will call it, it's one of the other cults that were in Lake County, is the Sundance Saloon cult, right?
Oh, I wouldn't call it a cult, but it's like a family.
It is a family, yes. Totally kidding, because I was part of that family for a very
absolutely.
long time. All right, so let's take everybody back, because I know a lot of people have a ton of fond memories. We'll go back a little bit more in your history, but let's talk about how do you acquire Sundance Saloon, and what year was that?
It was a major mistake. It was 1996, and Chris Lynn owned the Sundance Saloon at that point in time. I personally owned and operated a commercial real estate company. And I had a friend of mine, Mandrella, who had just sold his beer distributorship. And he was riding with me, and Chris called me up and asked me if I would sell to Sundance for her. And I told her, quite frankly, I don't sell businesses, I sell real estate. But then Mandrella said that he would be interested in buying it. I said, fantastic. Well, I'm in my car at the time with the top down, and so I could barely hear. And she said, I really need to get rid of it, or I'm interested in getting rid of it. But she hadn't told any of her employees or anybody. It was just an opportunity for her to sell it. So we decided we would take a look at it, and I took Mandrella over there to look at the Sundance, my first time in it. And they carded me and had some kind of stupid game that you had to play to put a card on your hat and tell you were supposed to meet your match. And I had no clue what they was doing. As a matter of fact, they threatened to throw me out because I didn't want to do it. And anyhow, we sat there and we decided we would buy the bar, or he would buy the bar, Phil Mandrella. And surprisingly, he said, hey, you have to be a partner or I'm not going to do it. We'd already made a commitment, so I said, okay, I'll be a partner. With no concept whatsoever. I barely drank at that point in my life. And I made up for it since that time, as you well know, Dave. But anyhow, we bought the Sundance. She finally made the announcement a couple weeks after we'd already purchased it. And so I immediately fired the guy that was going to kick me out of there. I told him he wasn't big enough to do it anyhow. So that's how I got to buy it. Within a couple weeks of purchasing it, however, Phil decided he was going to move to Arizona, so I had to buy him out. And that's how I got to be the sole owner of the Sundance Saloon.
Okay, so when you did that with Phil, did
Yes.
you have any kind? I know you sold a lot of real estate at that point. Did you have any history of running a bar, restaurant, anything?
Absolutely no. I seldom ever went to a bar, much less
Right.
Owning a bar or knowing how to run it. I knew how to do real estate, and that was basically it. But I'm a redneck from Kentucky, so immediately I decided that was my forte.
Right.
And Chris had developed a real good following there, but I wanted to go even a better direction, in my opinion. Hers was great. I just was hoping mine would be a little bit better or be able to continue it on. So we did that, and the waitresses, when Phil and I first went to see the Sundance and decided to buy it, they became my major bartenders. They were both very attractive, Carol Peterson and Don Schumacher. And
Who I know both very well.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
And Don is still there, as a matter of fact,
I heard
at
that.
the new Sundance.
Yes.
And then Tommy Gwatney, she's there also as a bartender. And I understand they're doing very well. They've turned it predominantly into a rock place, but it still has the Sundance name, which I'm very pleased that they continued that. And, they're doing very well as far as I know.
Yeah. Okay, so when you bought it from Chris, I know that at that time it was a different time. So you're talking like when you would have like local bands or things come in like that. The one
Right.
thing that I always remember about Sundance is like you pulled some, which now are big names.
Yes.
I want to hear like about one of your first people that you hired to play there that turned out to be a little more famous than we thought.
Well, Blake Shelton was probably the biggest name that come in there, and he came quite frequently, actually.
Really?
I only booked him one time, but he stopped in there a couple times. And Dawn always took care of my band when they came in, because you always have to treat them like royalty, which they pretty much are.
Right.
But he was one of these good old boys, would sit down and drink moonshine with you or whatever you wanted at that point in time. And, we had him in there. We had quite a few. Sugarland played there.
That's right.
We had quite a few guys. The guy that's married to... A note was just passed.
We're oh yeah, we got some photos here of some older some other
we
people
had
that
Blake
were
in there when he.
That's crazy.
had
Picture
the
Blake
mullet.
Shelton we're looking at. Yeah, total mullet there.
Oh,
and
yeah.
what year would that be around?
I don't know. I think it was more like 2000.
Yeah. Okay, 2000. Billy Currington.
Billy Currington, nicest guy in the world, was
Yeah.
there. I can't even think.
I think it was like a Lori Morgan or something like that. Because I remember all these things sitting on the wall. Came out of the men's bathroom, and then all the autograph photos
we
there.
did placards and banners of all the artists that played there,
Yeah.
and there were many.
Yeah. And great
we
shows.
Had, pardon me.
And great shows. Where you could see
They
people,
were,
like,
and
up
we
close
kept
and
them
personal.
reasonable. $8 to $12 is most we ever asked anybody to pay to come in and see these big bands. They were fabulous, and we were very fortunate to get them. We worked hand in hand with William Morris Agency. Abby Wells Bass now. She was a leader in getting me the artists that come in there, but we had to sleep at the wheel when nobody else would have them in there, and they were a big name at the time. When Blake came in, he wasn't well known, but he did have a couple big hits when he first came in there.
Yeah. I remember Confederate Railroad.
Confederate Railroad is still one of my very favorites. I see them occasionally down in Texas.
They are awesome. Okay, so I heard they got kicked out of a couple concerts because they wouldn't drop the Confederate. They wanted to
Here
call
in
them, like,
Illinois,
the
and
railroad.
they even
they
had
didn't-
a sore spot for that. They mentioned it at a Texas show that they played the Sundance Saloon when I owned it, and they were still allowed to come to Illinois. So it was a sore spot for them at that point in time. Nowadays, they are just a good old band, good old boys. And they'd bring me up on stage and have me sing, too. I can't hit a note.
Okay,
don't know the words to any song.
Singing Trashy Women or something?
Of course I did that. Marshall Tucker has a song out there, and they always had me sing to that. I found out very quickly they tend to turn my voice off during that, where you couldn't hear, because it went to all the artists. Danny Shirley is the head of Confederate Railroad, and he has become a real good friend of mine.
That's awesome.
And all of them have. I mean, everybody that played there. Keith Urban played there.
That's right.
One of the nicest guys in the world, and he fantastic guitar player. And he was a known artist when he played there. But Blake, as many times as he played the Sundance, never raised his price. He came in at $1,200. You can get him for $112,000 nowadays. I mean, they just never raised their price, and they liked and mingled with everybody that cared to see them.
Wow.
And stood for autographs and actually would drink with you. So,
see, and that's the kind of shit that I look at and go, like, those are the cool guys that want to see, right?
When they honored their commitments, they honor them.
Right.
And the only thing you had to do was just be friends with them. Right. And that's how everybody was that worked at the Sundance. Nobody worked for me. They worked with me. Yep. Some of them worked against me, but most of them worked with me.
Right.
And they're just friends. And I haven't been involved with the Sundance for a number of years, and yet they're still friends. Yes. In my mind, they're friends anyhow, but everybody that was working there.
Looking for a place where there's always something happening? Welcome to the Grayslake Village Center. Whether you're planning a family outing, a date night, or a fun night out with friends, the Village Center has something for everyone, year-round. Enjoy a fantastic mix of restaurants, unique retail shops, and exciting events that bring the community together. And just steps away, you'll find Central and Gelatin Parks, home of the library, aquatic center, skate park, senior center, and numerous recreational opportunities. Whew, that's a mouthful. So if you're looking for something to do, come explore, dine, shop, and play right here in the heart of Grayslake. Find out more at grayslakevillagecenter.com, and go check them out on social media and give them a like, give them a follow.
You know, it was a very special place, and the culture that you built around there, because it was such a friendly, inviting. It didn't matter if you're a line dancer that just had bought one water and then filled it up in the bathroom for the rest of the night.
You know that place well.
I do, and I will go on record that I know for a fact that you never turned the cold water off.
I should have, but I never did. I thought about it. No,
right.
No. They, as far as I was concerned, and we didn't make any money off of line dancers because they didn't spend any money. We let ladies in free most of the nights, and if you came before we got real busy, you got in free anyhow. We carded everybody. I didn't care how old you were, how young you were, you got carded. Mm-hmm. And that was a good thing because we were a family.
Yes.
I mean, everybody who came in there was a family member until you proved us otherwise, and not many ever did.
Right.
So we had a great time.
I hope the people that are listening to this, I hope that they write somewhere under things. I would love to know, like, how many relationships started there, because, like, you had, like, it wasn't like people went there, you know, once a week. People were there all of the time. I know they met their husbands, their wives there. Like, it truly was
Dave,
a big family.
I can't believe how often that became a true statement. Everybody, I mean, not everybody, but the majority of the people still come up to me this day and said, hey, you introduced me to my wife, you introduced me to my husband, or we met our spouses there. And it shocked me, quite frankly, but it was a family, and everybody got along. You didn't have to worry about any fights or anything like that. Of course, we could take care of them when there would be the occasional, but and it was infrequent that we ever had any problems there. Yeah. You knew where everybody was going to be within the Sundance because they had their own set areas that they were in day after day after day. You mentioned the line dancers. Line dancers, to me, were just part of the entertainment there. We didn't make any money off of them, and of course, in order to keep your business running, you have to be able to pay the bills. And they drank the water, and they'd go in and refill their bottles. Not all of them, but many of them.
It was a total inside joke.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, it's funny.
But, you know, it was a good time, and you knew everybody that was going to be in there. And you knew where if there was going to be a problem, you knew where it was going to be because they were somebody that's first time in and didn't respect the family atmosphere that we had. And the one change that we made other than what Chris did, because she did local bands and did a great job, we brought in national bands and included the local bands with them. We had Bella Kane in there. We had Rob Harvey when he had, who owns Bella Kane, but he had several great bands in there. Susie Dobbs was in there, who became a really, really renowned national entertainer at rodeo events. I mean, we had some outstanding local talent as well as the national talent.
Yeah. Okay, so when you you and Phil purchased Sundance, so if anybody's familiar with it, so I would call it like the downstairs bar or the front bar. Now, was there a point where where the stage is now, it's actually flip-flopped because the stage used to be against the, whatever we would call it, the back wall, right? So those are changes that you made? Because I know the pool tables were in the back there.
Yeah. No, I did not make the newest changes. I always had them against the back wall there. Yeah. We did enlarge the stage, and as a matter of fact, I was part of the construction when we did it, and I'm not real good at construction, as most people know, and so I hit a nail, and it went right through. A cop was helping me build it, and went right through his pants, right where he wouldn't want it to be.
Oh my God!
So it was an event. We built that stage within a day, though.
Really?
We enlarged it where we could have bigger bands there, and it was a good time. Nowadays, I do know that because I've been there, and I'll go back again. But they did change it, the format where they had the pool tables hidden basically from the bar itself.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
we didn't.
It's funny that so many of my friends that I still have who I met there when we would stop by there every night after DJing weddings, and several only 4 or 5 days during the week also. but it's fun to see how many different people came there, the friendships that you had, and talk about loyalty of employees. Like I give one thing that I just think is wonderful, because usually when you get in a bar atmosphere, there's a lot of turnover, right?
Yes.
Just take somebody like Pistol Pete. Like, was he DJing there when you got there?
Pete was a DJ when I got there. And the other DJ that I had frequently was Scott Hawkins. And he was a part-time DJ when I got there. And they both became permanent members. Pete is outstanding. People didn't realize that he didn't drink. He always drank the non-alcoholic beer, but he put on quite the shows, and they were excellent. They knew how to operate everything. Oh, do you?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
it's kind of fun.
As a matter of fact, I saw him at a recent Bella Kane concert last fall, I think it was, and he's no longer DJing as far as I know, but he's still Pete. Pistol Pete, as he called himself.
Pistol Pete and Slingshot Scott.
There it is. Yeah. And Scott became very, very acquainted with how to operate all the equipment. I had no clue, and so whenever they wouldn't be there due to sickness or whatever, I would occasionally go up there and play some songs, but I had no clue. I'm not a line dancer, and trust me, the customers are line dancers or partner dancers too.
Right.
So they had a great time.
All right. So here's what we're going to do. I want to talk about a little bit more about that and how we transition when you're done there. But before we do that, and Art, he admitted that he sees my posts online, but he's actually never listened to one of my podcasts, which is probably the reason that he's here today.
I didn't know how to get a hold of your posts, or I would have.
Exactly. So what we do is something so that everybody that's listening can get to know you just a little bit better. So we call this the Lake County Hot Seat.
Hey, Lake County, I know you know a teacher out there that needs to be recognized. I'm Jody Sigmars, former educator, now realtor, and I'm here representing Educators Advantage. We want you to nominate a Teacher of the Month. Click the link in the show notes and nominate your favorite teacher. Make your favorite teacher feel appreciated and give them a shout out.
So there's some little rapid fire questions to learn just a little bit more about Art Lake. You cool with that?
I'm fine with anything.
Art's cool with anything. That's the best thing about it. Okay, I want to know what was your first job that you ever had?
My first job Well, I was in the military right out of college. It was during Vietnam. And so I got drafted, of course. And then I worked at mental hygiene. That was my MOS, as they call it, when you're in the service. And so I did all the psychiatric reviews. If you wanted out of the service, you had to come through mental hygiene, as they called it. And I was one of 4 or 5 guys that you had to be interviewed by.
Really?
And the biggest dilemma was one of the easiest ways to get out, because Vietnam, it was renowned as, it was a drug or alcohol culture there. And you could be terminated by the military or get out of the service if you were addicted to alcohol or pharmaceuticals. And so they would always come to mental hygiene and utilize that as a way of getting out of the service. Well, guess what? It doesn't work that way.
Oh, really?
It's a catch-22. What you would do is, before we could let you out of the service under those circumstances, you had to be treated, because the military the Army didn't want to be stuck with that price that would be involved. So we had to cure you before we could get you out. Once you're cured, however, you're no longer eligible for that discharge. So you were just put yourself in some tenuous situations.
Okay, I never knew that you were a veteran, so thank you for your service.
Well, thank you very much.
I guess I should have known that about you. Probably.
No, most people don't.
Yeah.
I was also a sniper on the side, but mental hygiene was my forte, and that's where I spent my majority of time when I was in the service.
Interesting.
And then after that, I got a job at International Harvester as an expediter and a scheduler. We built farm tractors, basically, and Cub Cadet lawnmowers. And but they went on strike, and I became a pharmaceutical salesperson. And from that, I enjoyed the heck out of that.
I bet you were awesome at that.
I don't know about that, but I'll never forget that a surgeon had me come in, and he was a little bitty fella, and he was trying to bust open a guy's chest, and he asked me to swing the sledgehammer. And it was basically a stainless steel sledgehammer to open up a guy's chest. So I wasn't real cool on that, but I sold pharmaceuticals, and then from that point on, I got into real estate and was fortunately very successful with it. And I had the greatest client once I moved from Kentucky to Illinois, Kent Schodine, who owns the majority of Geneva, or did at that time. Wow. Nicest guy. Well, not the nicest guy, but the most successful person I've ever met in my life. And he gave me a lot of tips on how to be successful, most of which I didn't learn, but it was a good time. And thus, the Chris Lynn story, when she called me up when I was taking Phil Mandrella to try to introduce him to real estate marketplace.
Yeah, you and Phil Mandrella together is just a trouble written all over it anyway.
It was initially. He was one of the truest guys I have ever met. And like I say, we didn't work together that long because he decided he wanted to move to Arizona. And, the move was very successful for him as far as I know. And then his kid, Dave Mandrella, was a tremendous basketball player here in Grays Lake.
Absolutely. So, yeah, and they lived right across the street from me when I was growing up.
Oh, really?
Mandrella's lived across the street, or maybe it was his grandmother that lived across. So little David used to come over and shoot hoops out there and everything.
Quite the ball player.
Yeah, I used to beat him really bad. He was like 9 years younger than me.
But,
I was 10 and I was beating him. Right?
More reason to beat him.
All right, what's the first car that you ever owned?
First car I ever owned was a Ford Falcon, 62 Ford Falcon. As a matter of fact, I had that while I was in the military, and I drove from Texas back to Illinois, or actually Kentucky originally, and then I ran the heck out of that car and only spent $100 on it.
Really?
So it was a good car. Then from there, I owned an Austin Healey Sprite, and I loved that car also. And nice. I actually painted it, and I have absolutely no talent when it comes to something like that, but I sold it for quite the profit and drove the heck out of it.
That's awesome. Okay, tell me about first concert you ever attended.
First concert would have been, I don't even know, Kenny Rogers, I guess it was.
Really?
Yes. It was
Interesting.
at Freedom Hall in Louisville, Kentucky. I would say I'd never forget it, but apparently I did.
All those things just keep going down. Okay, so tell me a place that you would, I know you've been around a lot of places that you would like to travel that you have not been. Do you have something on your bucket list somewhere you want to travel to?
I only have one, actually, would be New Mexico, Santa Fe.
Really?
I don't know why. I have no real reason for that, but I like the warmth, and I've never been there. And one of my studies as a college student was archaeology, psychology, sociology, and math. But archaeology was of interest to me, and that's the reason I kind of have picked on Santa Fe, New Mexico. Haven't been, not really inclined to go either,
Right.
but I'd definitely do that.
Nice. Okay, so tell me about, do you play a sport in high school?
Yeah.
What'd you play?
Oh, I played football.
Yeah. Did you play after high school as well? Did you play football in college?
Yes, I did.
Where at?
Western Kentucky University.
Nice. Did you get a scholarship for that?
Oh, yeah. Freshmen weren't allowed to start. But because I was in accelerated programs in high school, I actually came to Western as a freshman, but I had enough hours credit from the high school that I was looked at as a sophomore.
Really?
So, yeah, so I got to play, but everybody had already been in the service, and I was pretty well intimidated because I was 17 years old as a linebacker. And I wasn't a very big kid back in the day. I was only 172 pounds originally, quickly became 225 because I was one of the few that lifted weights. But I was playing against guys that had mustaches and beards, and I'm a young punk that had no facial hair whatsoever. So I was intimidated, but not physically, because I was stronger than most of them because they didn't lift. They were already had been in the military and came back with an attitude. And I had an attitude back in the day, so
Right.
I didn't have any problem with that.
Okay, so you play there starting at 17, so then when do you get drafted? Like, did you get to play all 4 years of college?
I didn't play my senior year.
You did not play your senior year.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I had broken my neck. So I had broke my neck in high school also, so I didn't play my senior year of high school.
Holy cow.
Yeah, but I enjoyed it, and I was fairly decent at it, so it was okay.
Nice. It's fun looking back at stuff like that, and you go, man, what will you get? Because especially with kids that are around that age now, like my son's in college, that they don't realize how awesome that is if you could just freeze time for a while. and
Oh,
enjoy
I'm
that
telling
time.
you, it was one of the better times of my life. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
All right, I got a couple other things on here. If you had to have a superpower, what would it be?
I have no clue. No clue.
How about, have you ever eaten a roller dog from a gas station?
No,
No.
nor
You're not-
would I ever.
you're
I
not
don't
going
think.
there.
No, I'm not. Food poisoning is not in my forte.
I get a lot of different answers for that one. Usually it's around either we love them or food poisoning. One or the other.
I haven't had either, and I don't want it.
And you're fine with that.
Yeah, I'm great with that.
Looking back with the wisdom that you have now, like through all of your business things, through things you've done, is there anything that you can identify that you really wish that you'd learned sooner in life?
Actually, no. I was very fortunate. We didn't have any money growing up. My dad was unemployed quite a bit, and then he became an electrician, and he made good money. My mom worked all through my high school experience at the high school that I went to, and she started at the lunchroom and became a librarian. And so I was always raised right. And when I say right, it was always yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. And I got a beating if I didn't do otherwise, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. So my youth was appreciating others, and the way I look at it is I don't care what you do for a living. You're still a person until you prove me otherwise, that you're not a good person. And I've been so lucky, very, very fortunate that most everybody I have met have been good people. And I think it's because of the way I was raised. It was with a strong hand. I taught for a little bit also, and I found out that, anybody that has had discipline is usually a better person.
Yes. And I don't think there's enough of that these days, right?
I totally agree with you, Dave.
Yes, and it's actually one of the hardest things to do as a parent too, right?
Oh, yeah.
I want to be their friend. I want to make sure everything's good. But
exactly. Well, you sound like my son now. He has 2 children, and he spanked his daughter one time, and he said he'd never do that again. So she owns him now.
Right.
I mean, she's got him wrapped around her little finger, and then her brother is a year and a half older than her. And so they are, part of my life nowadays.
Yeah, so you could be grandpa. So now it's Jason, right? That's
yes.
So where does he live?
He lives outside of Dallas also.
Oh, good.
That's the reason I'm down there.
I see.
You reached out to me and said, hey, I want to do a podcast.
Yeah.
It frightened me. No,
it should. Just me reaching out to frighten you anyway.
No, I thought Dave's always been very kind to me, and I've always appreciated everything you've done. And as I mentioned earlier before we came on air, you were one of the bigger inventors of how to run a DJ service, and for weddings and everything like that, you were amazing. And we had quite a few wedding shows at our place, Monica Banquets, with you in charge of it, and they were large, and all total credit going to you for that.
Thank you. Well, we did a lot of work together. That's for sure.
Well, we did a lot of partying
if
together.
I call that work, right? I call it work with the air quotes.
Yeah,
all right,
exactly.
Well, so speaking of that, all right. So thank you for answering those questions. So at Sundance, Mundelein, at what point did you decide, because I think it was a shock to a lot of people that, A, you wanted to sell, because the first of all, I know you wanted to buy the building, you were going between, and we were going to go somewhere else. So kind of let everybody know how that process worked.
Well, Bud Snavely owned the property at the Sundance Saloon in Mundelein, and he came to me because I had a lease, and he came to me and he said, hey, I've got an opportunity to sell my property. And there was a new pharmaceutical company, I believe, that had just bought property behind him, from him. And they wanted to expand. And he came to me and he said, I've got 2 offers on my property, so I would like for you to get out of the lease if you're willing to do that. In that I was in commercial real estate, I know leases backwards and forwards, and I knew he couldn't force me to do anything. However, he was always treated me very well at the Mundelein location. Looking back, I never wanted to leave there. I mean, it was a family, and I knew from what areas that we drew from for our customers. And I didn't want to move. However, I also looked at it as I needed to expand the business and the opportunity to bring in bigger and better national acts.
Yeah.
Couldn't get much better than what we had, because we had Rascal Flatts and among others that we had there.
Yeah.
But we had top entertainment, but I wanted to be able to bring in even the bigger guys, because they charge more, so you had to be able to either raise the price or get more people in.
Right.
So he asked me if I would let him out of the lease, and so I immediately started looking around for other places to locate. And I found an old service merchandise building in Waukegan, a 2-story building, total of 72,000 square feet, which would have made us one of the largest venues in the state of Illinois. We were at the Mundelein location. We were still one of the busiest and oldest country western bars in the state.
Yep.
And so when we moved to Waukegan, we immediately became the largest country western facilities in the state of Illinois, as well as the oldest, because we brought the name with us.
Yes.
And so it took us a while to transform the building into an adequate location. We built a banquet hall on the second floor. We additionally, on the first floor, we added off-track betting with Arlington Racetrack.
Oh, that's right. How did I forget that? That's right.
I don't know, because you probably lost quite a bit of money there, as I did. But anyhow, we got them, and they wanted to expand. During that time, however, I got tired of the business, so we decided to sell the business, and so another group bought us out.
Wow.
But that's a story in itself.
Yeah, no, that move over there was funny, because I think a lot of people that were disappointed that maybe the Sundance was leaving, Mundelein.
Exactly.
I think that even I can remember our conversations that I knew that you weren't, Sundance Saloon in Mundelein was not, you weren't doing that. That wasn't making your living. You did it because you loved it, and you loved the family around it, and you were providing such an awesome atmosphere for so many people.
That's a good analogy, Dave. Is one I wish I had come up with, but it's true.
Right.
We had a family, and it was a great location for us because, in that it was more of a family atmosphere. If you got drunk there, and we were pretty cautious about over-serving that type of thing, but
yes,
it's easy to do. But if you went one block outside of the perimeter, if you turned left rather than right into Mundelein, you had no police to worry about. But our analogy was we would take you home.
Yep.
We would put you in our car, take you home, and also one of our guys would follow us in your car and take you, so you would have
nobody
your car
does that
the next day.
Nobody does
We
that.
did it because we knew everybody.
Right.
And everybody knew us, and they knew that we weren't going to wreck their car when we did it, and we'd get them home safe. So we did that, and I totally enjoyed the old Sundance much more than the new one.
Right.
And the new one I love because of the convenience of it. It's right off the interstate, and there was opportunities for growth. But predominantly, if looking back on it, had I been able to persuade Buzz differently, I would have probably stayed at the Mundelein location. However, as I mentioned before we even went on air here, there were gas leaks on that property, which still, as far as I know, haven't been remedied. They used to have an old Kittyland type of operation there where they actually had a train going through what's now the middle of the dance floor.
I can't believe that.
Yeah, I couldn't either when I heard it. Buzz told me about it. I said, how come there's gas leaks and oil leaks here? And he explained to me that's what used to be there way before he opened up the honky-tonk as he had it there.
That's so crazy.
So, and then he also wanted me to buy the gas station next door, which he owned the property, not the operation. And I told him I'd already been through that in commercial real estate, and it's cost prohibitive to remedy that situation.
Wow.
So I elected not to do that. But given the choice, I would have stayed there without a question about it. I would have made the enlargements as the new owners have done. I probably would have built a building rather than the outside pavilion, but it's a good move on his part to do that.
It's nice to have some outdoor music and have
Oh, it would be amazing.
Space.
You just worry about the neighbors' complaints. So.
Right, and I'm sure that's the biggest thing that Bobby has over there too. That it's a.
I'm certain of that. If he has any complaints at all, that probably is it.
Exactly.
We had the bull riding there. We actually had the live bulls at Waukegan. We had the machine bull at the Mundelein location, and that was fun. The best time and the best choice that we made there, we had what was called the Friday night dance party at the Mundelein location. US 99 was there. We were live on air, and nobody else had that, and we were fortunate to get it. And Doc Duncan of US 99 at the time, he ran it, and it was amazing. And then we put one of their DJs on a mechanical bull, and I paid the guy $50 not to let him fall off, just because he hated it. And that was what it was just hilarious to watch some of these people on there. Of course, the guys loved it when the girls got on there, but when I had the DJs on there and wouldn't let them fall off, that was funny. That was really funny. So it was a great time.
Yeah, there's a lot of really fun things that happen there. I mean, story after story. Like, there's some, a couple of them. You want to know my favorite one? And we can just touch on it because we won't divulge all the fun stuff. The was it Nine Flags guys?
Oh yeah,
yeah. So the rodeo was in town, and they came to Sundance.
Okay.
And I distinctly remember because we're in the middle of everything, and one of the rodeo guys started messing with Jason, your son.
Actually,
is that how it happened?
Well, somewhat. I got to tread easy here.
Right. We'll make sure that we're.
No, actually, Nine Flags followed Harry Luge out of Arizona, and Harry was a fantastic entertainer, and my son Jason was a bartender for me temporarily, and I had let the majority of my security leave early because we were winding down. And I said, go ahead. They had other things they wanted to do. But Jason, my son, had approached a girl and to dance.
It's always about a girl, isn't it?
Oh, I'm telling you.
Come on.
And he got tackled about 4 or 5 guys,
right?
And by the Nine Flag guys. And I won't say it was just them, but all of a sudden I got involved because I went out there to break it up, and I must have had 100 guys on top of me. And it was not a fun night for everybody, but we won. And I kicked the band out at that time, but Harry Luge, the band was fantastic. They're still fantastic. And we met afterwards, and we settled all our differences. And actually, I saw them at Country Thunder. They were one of the highlights of Country Thunder. Yeah. And so his dad was part owner of Country Thunder, too, at the time. So they made amends, and I enjoy that band quite a bit.
Yeah, no, they're
fantastic.
But
that was one of the very few fights we ever had there, and that was a big fight.
Yeah, that was quite a night.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know you were there.
Oh, yeah. Well, we didn't call it after that, I don't think we called it the dance floor. I believe we called that the boxing ring.
It might have been because I remember one guy that was on top of me scraped the inside of my mouth with his thumbnail.
I remember.
And I couldn't hardly speak. And I got on the intercom and told everybody to leave. But if they wanted to continue to fight, I would meet them at the back door, which I did.
I was there too.
Okay.
Yes, you did. It was a cordial. It was an invitation.
Yes. It was.
That was very nice of you to invite those gentlemen.
Well, that's the way I am. I like it to be an easygoing thing.
Take care of the people, make them happy.
It was a family atmosphere, as I mentioned.
That's right. But
that night, it was a dysfunctional family, but it was a family atmosphere.
But the fact that we don't have 100 of those stories says a lot, because how many nights were there with all kinds of different people that everybody was just there to have fun. So that was very rare, but it was a very interesting night.
But it always happens at a bar situation.
Exactly.
One of the funniest stories is there was a wedding party at the Sundance, and the bridal groom came in on their own, and then the guys came in separately, not knowing the other party was there. And they got into a major fight because, both of them were messing around. And so there was probably 50 or 60 people fighting on their way out, and the bridal party got the girls got in a fight with the police department there, so they all got arrested. Then the groomsmen, who didn't realize that the brides had been picked up in their bridal party, they started a fight, and they lost that one significantly because what they weren't aware of was all my security people were having a party there.
Whoops.
Also, and that was a big whoops because we had 15 of the biggest, meanest, toughest guys in Lake County.
And the nicest guys, too.
They would be your best friend.
Yep.
But they didn't. They hauled off and hit one of my bartenders, who was like a lady that was in her 60s at the time, Mary Jackson. Nicest lady in the world, and a guy got upset for whatever reason we'll never know, and hit her. And that did not go down because, like I said, we were just a big family, and family members took offense to that. So they had like 15 guys there, and they all got hurt, should we say. Through the back door, we threw them out, and they had an altercation. We thought it was over, and then they swung on the biggest guy I had there, and that was a mistake on their part. Interestingly, they went from there to jukebox.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then one of my best friends, Steve Ives, was one of the security guys at jukebox, and they made mention that they beat up, which they deny.
Steve was from somewhere like Australian or something, wasn't he?
No, from England.
From England.
And he was an SSA.
He was a badass.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
And you didn't want to mess with Steve. And he wasn't the biggest guy, but he was an Aikido expert. And they found that very quickly. And so they got hurt over there because they said they beat up the owner of the Sundance, which would be me, which was a fluke. I didn't even get hit that night. And but
that night.
And then he took offense to that. From there, the remaining guys that weren't arrested or beat up went downtown Chicago, and they ran into my son's group who were partying down there, and they mentioned that they beat up the guy at the Sundance. And so
what a crazy
they
night.
took another whipping.
Oh my
But
gosh.
and it sounds like there was just fights at Sundance.
No.
They were so infrequent. After 15 years or so, I bet you I couldn't count maybe 4 or 5 that happened.
But when we did them right.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you just don't do anything half-assed.
Oh, no,
right?
no. It was. You're going to lose. Somebody's going to be bleeding, and it won't be our guys.
That's right.
So, but it was family, and the customers were family, and we took up for each other, and we watched over each other, and so you took care of the family. And it wasn't combatant. It was people that wanted to just go out and have fun.
Yep.
And as long as you had fun, that's all we cared about.
Right. And it was fun to watch, like you said, Country Thunder before that. I just recently went to Country Thunder, and I think it's completely different than when we were hanging out there.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Because, like, the half or 3/4 of the Sundance Saloon was always right there.
Oh,
we knew where
absolutely.
everybody camped, and we had a lot of fun, like, going back
Overnight
and forth.
camping was a thing. I mean, I would even get a bus and park there.
So would I.
And
Except for
I
had to
didn't
buy my
stay
own
there
bus.
overnight.
Right. Well, that's right. You didn't stay the night.
No, because I had to go back and clean up the mess from the Sundance.
Right.
But many of the artists, not all of the artists, but many of the artists would stop by the Sundance on the way up to Country Thunder and just jump on stage or just be a customer.
Right.
And that was really, really nice because we got free entertainment, but they saw what the people of Illinois and Lake County are like.
And that's awesome.
In
that they
McHenry
did
County.
that.
We had a lot of McHenry County customers.
Yeah. Okay, I want to jump to many people don't know. So I had the opportunity to come over and work with you a little bit at the Sundance, the service
The new
merchandise Sundance. Yes. So when they're building the banquet halls upstairs, I had a little office down from you.
Yeah.
And then I remember unwrapping bar stools, the plastic off the bar stools, furiously getting ready because Dwight Yoakam was coming in, and he was the opening act, right?
He was the opening act for the Sundance, and we felt very fortunate to get him. And again, I charged, I think it was $10 to $12 to get in and see Dwight Yoakam, who was a major act. I lost a lot of money on bringing in some of the national artists because I refused to raise the price, which would cover it. I mean, anywhere else you would go, you'd be paying $50 for a ticket for that show. Mine was $10 to $12. And but yeah, you and many others and many customers helped us open up because we were in a stage that we really wanted to get going right, and we did it right. And the interesting thing is, even his band members asked me to introduce them to Dwight Yoakam because he'd fly in, and they'd have to drive in. They didn't really hang out together at all. But
because I remember those guys were up in the green room, which was halfway done. I think Dwight just stayed in his bus till it was time to come in.
Yeah, and they stayed in the green room, which was across from your offices up there.
I got to meet some interesting folks up there.
Did you really?
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me, Dave, knowing you.
It's a very interesting
You
times
probably
there.
knew him better than I did.
Yeah, something.
Many of the entertainers would stop and give courtesy meet and greets, which was great. Some of them didn't want to do it, and we'd always ask them their preference. But they had a good time. They would take pictures and take the time to spend with you, which was especially for those up-and-coming guys. Like Daryl Singletary was the very first act I had that was a national entertainer. As a matter of fact, Don Schumacher went with me because I had no clue who he was. That's how much into country music I was. I enjoyed listening to it, but I didn't know who they were.
Right.
And she knew what he looked like. We sat around the airport waiting for him. At that time, you could go up to where they deplaned.
Yeah.
He must have walked around us for 30 minutes before we recognized who he was. I had no clue. I saw him several times, but and Don didn't recognize him immediately. But what a nice guy he was, and I think he has passed since that time.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
And then we had Billy Currington right after that. So we had some really, really nice guys. And everything.
I remember watching the door. You were doing something. You were in a meeting or something, and this big, tall guy walked in. So I had to sit down and have a couple glasses of bourbon with Trace Adkins.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he was coming in. He was coming to meet with you. I think he was playing the following night, or he was staying somewhere.
Perhaps so.
Just a great dude also.
Oh, I'm telling you, we were some of the taller guys in country music are Blake Shelton, Trace Adkins, and, of course, Daryl Worley. Daryl, I thought highly of. He's now doing mostly religious songs.
Really?
That's what I'm told. But what a nice group of people, all three of them, and they was all like 6'7" and up.
Yeah, they were hard to miss. Yeah.
you couldn't miss them.
Especially when I walked in, I'm like,
yeah.
Okay, so I know who that guy is. Or I might not know his name, but I know he's famous or something.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome, though. So through all of this, I haven't, you kind of got thrown into Sundance. You had no plan to do that, right?
I have no plan whatsoever.
It's Mandrella's fault.
It was Mandrella's fault. And it's probably the best mistake I ever made in my life because I met so many people, and I'm still seeing so many people that were customers there. And like I say, I haven't been doing this for 15, 20 years, and they're still recognizing who Art Lake is, and they only knew me as the redneck from Kentucky, I think, that enjoyed it. One of our biggest nights was always Halloween parties. I
won once.
Did you really?
I did.
I didn't know you then. I'm hoping. So,
if you knew what I was, you would really hope.
costumes.
Sorry to interrupt you, but yeah, Halloween was great.
Oh, and I gave away quite a bit of money for our Halloween best costumes. For me, it was quite a bit of money anyhow because we didn't make money there. It was not. We had a lot of great times, and we made money, of course, but not a lot of money. And I always lost on national acts, but it was something that I thought was part of the entertainment, part of the reason that people would come to the Sundance and grow our client base.
Sure. Yeah, and maybe they come out once for that big concert, and then they go, this place is great, and they end up as a lifer. They're like most
and basically,
of us.
that's what they became.
Yeah.
And I was so thrilled with it because the, as I mentioned, the line dancers were entertainment. The customers themselves were entertainment. And we had dance lessons almost every night. Yep. And, they'd get out there, and sometimes it was hilarious, especially if they drug me out there, but they could never get me out there to line dance because I have no rhythm whatsoever. So it was a great time. And I am very, very thankful for everybody that continues to come out to the Sundance because Bobby Carlson has made it predominantly rock and roll, as I understand. But, he's kept the Sundance name, and I'm very pleased that he decided to do that.
Yes. And I went to high school with Bobby. Bobby's a great guy.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, and he just he keeps plugging away, and he's trying his ass off. Yeah, the lineups, everything they do.
Well, as I understand it, he went into it with his brother, Chris, and I think Chris lives in Wakanda. I'm fairly certain about that because his kids are real good athletes over there. It's your kid.
Yeah, they're small guys. The Carlsons are small guys.
Yeah,
like
they're
6'7".
Yeah, I remember how tall he was.
Yeah. Well, I want to go back before you say anything else. So we had a little conversation beforehand. I think how I judge people and what impresses me about people is that we were talking about, like, when people use your name, like when they talk about art, like everybody that I know considered you like a friend, whether they knew just a little bit about you, but they always bragged like Art Lake. It was family, and the way that they speak of you so highly, it's a really cool legacy that you get to leave behind because those stories will never die.
I'm very pleased that you said that, Dave. I don't know how true that is, but a lot of people have accused me of making their marriage match up from introductions. And no, I didn't do that. I just had a facility that you managed to meet the right person in your life. And I'm just amazed at the friendships I have made, and I apologize to anybody that I made ill will with, but we had a great time.
Yeah, and did you say you've been out of this for how long now? Now you're making me feel really old.
We both are real old. I don't even know any longer, quite honestly.
Yeah, because it must have, it is
I think 2006 I left.
Oh, my
so
God.
It's been a long time.
Oh, my God, that's crazy.
It might have been 2005. I'm not even sure.
Let's talk a little before, because I like to keep everything around a certain time. I want to know a little bit about Confetti's.
Confetti's was a restaurant that I opened up after closing the Sundance or selling the Sundance, and it was an idea that I had to open up a smaller venue, smaller bar, but the restaurant was the big part of it. And originally, I had a guy that was a chef that was going to be a part of the ownership, and no financial contribution required, but he was supposed to donate his time and efforts there. Didn't work out that way, and I couldn't fry an egg, as I mentioned before, so I'm not a guy that should be in the restaurant business. But the good thing is we had a separate bar there, and we had the restaurant, and we had quality food, and I was very pleased to start it up, and we had a lot of fun there also. And I met some great people, Cheryl being one of them, and it was a good time. We did a Friday night fish fry, which I enjoyed,
yeah,
and I hope the customers did too. But Confetti's was in Gurnee, and it was just a fun place to go to. Yeah. And we had live entertainment nightly, and I had a lot of jazz there. Not on purpose, but they bring a smaller group and a closer environment than Country Western. I didn't want to step on anybody's feet that was already in business here doing the rock and roll at the Sundance Saloon that rocks. And I didn't want to interfere with anybody, nor did I want to interfere with the people that took over the Sundance and Waukegan.
Right.
But
you had some really interesting things. You walk into, never plan on doing anything, walk into an established country bar, run that, decide that, and move it to a giant building to run another country bar and start a banquet hall, which you've never done. Which you obviously
exactly.
Did. And then leave there and start it over again.
Yeah, and then do the off-track betting.
Yes.
So that was great.
You've done a lot.
I have been very fortunate, and with people like you that I consider friends.
Yes, absolutely.
And and everybody had become a friend just based upon their relationship with us, and hopefully, I tried to be honest with what I told everybody and try to back it up, and I think we did an okay job.
You did a great job.
Well, thank you.
Yes. Okay, so in closing, what is Art Lake doing these days? Besides, so I'm following you on Facebook. You're still lifting weights like crazy. And you're what, 56 now?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll soon be 77.
Wow.
And I'm still doing 430 pounds on a bench. But, I'm an old man, and I feel it. I was telling you just before we started, I fell just standing up repairing my swimming pool. I live in Texas now. I love Texas because I love the warm weather. Yep. I really, really enjoyed Illinois until taxation just drove me crazy. My real estate tax was $26,000 a year on my home, and I thought, well, this is unrealistic. Plus, my son had given me my first grandchild and second one, and I wanted to be near them and to be able to enjoy that. And and I enjoy Illinois, and I enjoy Cheryl putting up with me when I come up here, and so. It's a good time. I don't do anything. I've been retired. Good. And, I'm just a hermit, if you will. I still go out to, there's a country western bar probably 5 miles from me that I go and watch somebody like Confederate Railroad whenever they come in.
That's awesome.
And thankfully, he doesn't bring me on stage any longer, but he's still a real good friend, and he comes down and hangs with me after the show and that type of thing.
That's awesome.
So, and others have done so too.
Well, I want to personally thank you for all that you've done, because you gave people a great place for entertainment, to build friends, family, put everything together. And I know there's a lot of hard work. You didn't have any fun doing it. I know that.
I had a great time, and I value the friendships that were developed over the time, and the growth I've seen in others. Mitch Walkner was one of my favorite guys, and he was known as a big thug when he first came to the Sundance, and he was a volunteer bartender. And if you wanted anything other than a beer, you had to go down to Carol Peterson because he said it's beer only here at my station. Right. But you see the personal growth that they have and how they've rearranged their outlook on life, and no longer did the things that they did, which were fun. But they grew up, and I've grown up too.
And I'm working on it.
Oh, you'll be there. I give you another 20 years, and you'll be okay, Dave.
It should be fine. But yes, no, it's great. And
you were very instrumental in everything you did, especially at Monica Banquets.
It was fun.
I really appreciate it. You coming in and hanging out. And, when you did the photo booths for weddings, I thought, how innovative is this? Nobody else would ever think of that. Of course, I'm sure there were some risque photos taken.
I definitely don't have those saved. I do not have a book of those at home.
I know. Sure. That's the reason I'm here, because you promised you would destroy them.
Right, exactly. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to come see me.
Thank you for your time, brother.
And especially when you're here visiting. So, Lake County, hey, wherever you guys are listening, do me a favor. Would you hit the subscribe button, whether you're listening on Apple or Spotify, YouTube, wherever you're at. Hit the subscribe button, because that way every week you will get an alert of a new guest that comes on. And we really appreciate things, because we try to build community around here. And I think the best way is to get to know some people that you might not have known before. And as I always end, hey, you never know what your friends, your family, even strangers on the street are going through. So get out there, do one random act of kindness, whether it's holding the door for somebody, give them a big smile, be nice at the cashier at the dollar store, right? Just be nice to people. Kindness spreads like wildfire, and we appreciate that. So, Art, thank you again.
You're welcome, Dave.
Closing,
thank you, brother.
We'll see everybody next week, Lake County. Thank you.